Hello, everybody, and welcome yourselves to the second edition of the ECC Podcast. We're finally back again for another edition, and we now have a sponsor, actually, Amateur Esports Zone. We're going to be partnering up with them and do some nice stuff with them in relation to this podcast. Hopefully get the ECC out there a bit more. But joining me again for the podcast is going to be KursedWolf and Dennis. How are you both today?
I'm doing great, my friend. We have a lot to get through today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing great. We have 2 weeks we have to go through today, so a lot of stuff is going to be happening today.
Yeah, you all better be ready.
It is week 4, right? So we're not going to mention anything from week 4.
Yeah, we're just covering weeks 2 and 3, should I say.
Yep.
We're currently in week 4 as we're recording this. We're not even going to talk about that just yet. We may talk about some of the matches about it, but week 2 and 3 is the priority, and oh boy, we've got a lot to get through. So I think we'll just dive straight into it, because we're not going to waste any more time.
Because we don't have it.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time. This might go on for a while, so
just bear with us.
All right, so I think we'll begin with the week 2 matchups that went down. We'll just go.
How about we just go from Div 4 completely? We'll
Div
start with
4.
each Div. We'll go through each Div rather than each week.
Yeah, through each Div. Okay, that's a good idea. So we'll start with Div 4, shall we? I think that'll be a good idea. Maybe go lowest to highest. So yeah, so week 2 for Div 4. I don't know much about these teams, but for starters, we had NG Saffron 3-1 over Ascension Helios. So yeah, what do you guys think of that match? Big surprise or not?
Well, yeah, it was essentially Lilius who won their first series, and I think they hope to continue that streak, but unfortunately they lost here with 3-1. I don't know really the results of those games, but I think it was a stream match as well, and it's just unfortunate that the game ended 3-1 for Saffron for the Ascension Helios side.
Yeah, I think it's an upset for me. I kind of want the Ascension rosters to do well, Helios mainly, because they are a fairly good team, to be fair to them. It's just quite upsetting for me to see this result, and clearly Noble Gaming Saffron did very well to secure themselves a 3-1 in that series.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and as for the standings, NG Saffron are now well, at the time of this recording, it's 3-0. Of course, that's taken into account their week 3 match as well. But yeah, they're both really close to the standings as of week 4. So yeah, essentially Helios are not far behind at third, so it's still really close in Div 4. So I can expect still a lot from Helios, just maybe a bit of a disappointing result, because I think we've seen some good things out of them so far this season. So maybe next time they'll come back a bit stronger. But now, on to our next match, we have ILV Orange against Breakdown Krypton, and yeah, both these teams, again, it's 4th against 6th currently in the standings, so yeah, again, another 3-1 matchup, ILV showing they're the stronger side in that match.
Yeah, for me, that's a more preferred outcome. ILV Orange, obviously, playing their best lineup. I'm pretty sure they have a team of 3. They are around Champ 2, Champ 3, if I'm not mistaken. So clearly, in ranked as a team, they are doing well, and it's clearly showing in these weeks throughout the ECC.
Yeah, and if you look at the results of that game, it was a 6-1 in the first game for Irrelevant Orange, then a 4-3 in the second game for Breakdown Krypton, and the third game 4-1 for Irrelevant Orange again, and the fourth game 1-0 for Irrelevant Orange. So overall, pretty dominant performance by the Irrelevant Orange side, but yeah, well played by them, and maybe Breakdown Krypton, we can see much more from them in the upcoming games.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, Breakdown still got a lot to prove here, but ILV showing they're pretty strong sides in Division 4, currently starting in 4th, so they could potentially push for the playoffs future of the season. But now into the third match that was played, we have Honk Esports against FC NetNeat in what was a Game 5 in that one. Of course, both these teams are pretty low in the standings. Honk Esports at 7th and NetNeat at 9th right now. So NetNeat not looking really good as of now. They not picked up a single series win in Honk Esports. That was their first win of the season, so it was good for them to get that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this was a controversial game, if I'm not mistaken. Honk Esports did say a few things after the win. If I recall correctly, there was something to do with NetNeat. One of their players, unfortunately, did a slip up and caused them to concede, which is very unfortunate, seeing as they took it to Game 5. So you can imagine if they just made themselves more well-rounded and I think tightened the rotation, you could almost say that could have been flipped on its head, that game.
Yeah, most definitely. It's just the close win for Honk Esports 3-2 in Game 5, and really close Game 5, as you say, and it's really unfortunate for the FC Net Need side. I think both are Dutch teams as well, so I like that myself. But, you know...
Honky Sports isn't
unlucky.
Dutch. It's got 2 Dutch players, but the
Oh,
captain is
okay,
British.
never mind. Well, yeah, still unlucky for the Net Need side. But yeah, Net Needs they're in 9th now. Just lost to Honk Esports with 3-2. Honk Esports 7th place of Division 4, so they're not doing great either this season. Maybe both teams can get themselves up again, just maybe go for playoffs, but it's a tough task if you ask me.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Netney, I believe. If they want even a chance, they have to win every single match from here on out. So, going to be really tough for them. But, you know, they had a good showing against Honk Esports. I'm sure they can maybe get it back. But now into the 4th and final match for Week 2, because there's still one match that's yet to be played. We do have DSA Orange and RC Pluto. And this one, you know, a nice boring 3-0 sweep for RC Pluto against DSA Orange. For RC Pluto, they are currently top of the standings, and they've been really strong so far, only dropping 3 individual games this season. Whereas DSA Orange, they did show some good signs in one of the matches I watched of them, but yeah, RC Pluto showing they're the dominant force in the division.
Yeah, I mean they clearly played very well. Me personally, I can't say much about the game. I don't know much about the players. And it's a bit controversial, this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just Rocket Corp Pluto would just get a 3-0 win. Really well performance by them. If I look at the rosters of both sides, Rocket Corp Pluto with Blitz League, Jarish, Blitz Assassin, and Bindo as a sub. And then DSA Orange. I think that's the Dutch side as well. DSA Orange, or just one guy from Luxembourg. Liam Comment, Luxie, Jim Gur, and Martin Mist. I don't know any of these players. But yeah, DSA Orange, just unlucky for them. Rocket Corp Pluto, they're doing pretty well this season. Until now, this division, they are they're top of the league now. They played 3, they won all of the 3 matches, so that's pretty well done by them. So I think they can get playoff spot very easily after the league play.
Yeah, they
indeed.
certainly could.
Gonna
Anyways,
jump into
now-
the 3rd week of Division 4 now.
Yeah, the 3rd week. So the first match was NG Saffron and Honk Esports. This time NG Saffron continuing their run of form. They got themselves another 3-1 win. And I think that, again, is expected. NG Saffron, they are up there, whereas Honk Esports struggling a lot more. But yeah, still a good result for NG Saffron nevertheless, I think.
Oh, indeed, definitely. I mean, the fact of the last week, you can see that Honky Sports struggled against Netniet and just managed to pull themselves the win. It was going to be a tough game for them, as proven by the scoreline. So it's quite an expected win.
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, NG Saffron, they're doing pretty alright this season. I think I play against Ascension Helios on stream in the week 2, and I think that was a pretty decent performance for them in Division 4. So I think we can expect a lot more from this side in Division 4. So after week 3, you know, they've done pretty well. Won all the games until now, 2nd place, so that's pretty alright by them.
Yeah, indeed. I think it was a good result for NG Saffron, especially after Honk Esports. They also got a win just by the skin of their teeth in the previous week, so they'll be happy with that. And now moving on to the next game, it's a battle of the Dutch sides here, DSA Orange and FC Net Neat. It was 3-1 for DSA Orange. I believe that match was also streamed. It was a very interesting match to watch indeed. It was enjoyable, but DSA Orange proving themselves here. That's their first win that they got this season. And even though they're still pretty down in the standings, they'll definitely be happy with that, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. DSA Orange, I believe they might be making their way into the Week 2 highlights. Maybe be able to get themselves in the Week 3. Although we are, Lion is a little bit behind with those. No big deal, however. Yeah, again, like you said, DSA Orange got the 3-1. NetNet struggled against Honky Sports, so you can only imagine how the next few weeks might pan out for them. I think it is only going to get tough from here for NetNet, but they can prove us wrong, which I would love to see.
Yeah, of course, I've seen that need. They have had a really tough start of the season. Lost all the games until now, or lost all the series until now, and are bottom of the league. That's not what they expected at the start of the season, I suppose. And DSA Orange, they get the win there. They still not. It is the first win of the season, and after three series, they have lost 2 games and one game or one series. So I think DSA Orange and FC that need it's a bit of the battle of the bottom of the league here. But yeah, it's DSA Orange. Maybe they can get higher up, maybe get a 4th place, but it's gonna be really tough for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be really tough. Again, you would have to win pretty much all their matches from now on, but that is a step in the right direction for them getting a win against, albeit lesser opposition, but is one they needed. And as now we'll be heading into the next matchup, which was ILV Orange and Rocket Corps Pluto again, and obviously Pluto again with another 3-0 win. Of course, not probably the ideal result for you considering you were the ILV people, but
Definitely not.
yeah, RC Pluto showing them, putting on a really good showing in that one.
Oh, of course. I mean, you look last week they got a 3-0. This week they get a 3-0. Well, sorry, week 3 they get a 3-0. Week 4, I'm not sure what the standing is. We're not going to check. But if they continue this pace, they could put themselves very high of a likelihood to just promote straight up.
Yeah, really well done by Rocket Corps Pluto. As I said, they're really dominant side here in this division, and I think they've won all the games until now. So really well done by them. Also, just sweeping 11 Esports Orange, which is not a bad side. I expected them to actually just get 1st place this season in Division 4, but Rocket Corps Pluto just sweeps them, and that's really well done by the Rocket Corps Pluto side.
Yeah, very well done. Back-to-back sweeps in the past couple of weeks is what you want to see from them, putting up a really good performance, and so they could again easily in the playoffs be dominant and get themselves a straight promotion to Div 3. But that is all for Division 4 because the last 2 matches, one of them was a forfeit, and the other one hasn't been played yet. So we'll not talk any more about those, as we will now advance into Division 3 Week 2 and our first
How
match.
about, instead,
Or
we go straight through the Division 4 standings, and then that's Division 4 completely done.
oh yeah, that's a good idea actually. Now these standings are actually as of Week 4.
Yeah, that's true.
So these
No,
will
as
not
of
be
as of halfway through week 4, we'll say, because there is still a
halfway
few to
through
go.
Week 4. So of course these are going to be a little bit iffy because we've not even talked about. We're going to talk about the Div 4 matches. But right now we have of course Rocket Corps Pluto at the top as expected, and then NG Saffron following them, followed by Ascension Helios, and then ILB Orange in the top 4. I think that's about as expected, guys. Would you agree it's top 4?
Yeah, I can't really see any other of those teams really pushing for it, unless maybe DSEA Orange try and turn it around.
Yeah, maybe DSA Orange can turn it around. They didn't have the best start of the season, but maybe they can do it. I don't know really their players, so can't really say much about that. But of course, the teams which are in top 4 now, they're not bad sides in Division 4. And of course, Rocket Corps Pluto and G7, I think, are just the 2 teams which are the most dominant here in Division 4. And then, of course, Ascension Helios and Irrelevant Esports Orange aren't bad either. I think all these 4 teams will have just the chance to make it to playoffs. And I think the number 5 till number 10 of Division 4, I think they're just not going to make it. Maybe the new team will... The MGS-TKS team.
MGS-TKs.
Yeah, that team. Maybe they'll make it to playoffs because I don't know any of their players, but we'll see how it turns out.
Can't really make a judgment on them seeing as they haven't played a single game yet, so they can't be classed into the standings.
Yep.
So we don't know what's going to happen with that team there. I'll just call them the Bim Bams actually because they're Spanish. I'm not going to bother with the
No, they're not the Bim Bams, they're the El Bim Bams.
El Bim, yes, El Bim Bams. Thanks for correcting me. I need to work on my Spanish a bit, actually.
Oh no! Anyway, to Division 3, moving swiftly on. The first game of this week, week 2, was Primal Esports versus Galamo Delta. That team. Galamo Delta managed to get a 3-1 win over Primal Esports. What do you guys think of that game?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good game for the Glamour Delta side. I'm going to really quickly bring up where they stand at the moment. Yeah, they're a fourth place team here, so Primal actually in dead last. So I think this was a expected result out of Glamour Delta. You know, with a 3-1, pretty comfortable result for them. I think they didn't have much trouble with it, to be honest, despite dropping that one game.
Yeah, I think Primal Esports, they hope to get much higher than just place now. They were fourth seed of Division 3, and seeing them in last place now, they really did not want that. But it's a good win by Guillermo Delta, and I think Guillermo Delta, they can push forward to just get the playoff spot because they are fourth place now, and maybe they can keep that fourth place. Maybe they can end up higher, but at least in the top four. That's where they're hoping for. That's where they're aiming for, getting that playoff spot, and maybe go to Div 2 next season. We'll see.
Indeed. I mean, it is going to be a tough way to call as to who's going to make it top 4 for this division, I must say. A lot of the teams looking quite strong, so it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it will be interesting indeed to see them. Primal, I don't think they got much of a chance for a top 4 at this point, but Glamour Delta putting themselves in a good position. They do currently sit at 4th actually, so if they just keep the run of form going, then I think they could really do well. But that'll put us swiftly into the next match, which was Ascension with a big 3-0 sweep over Godalion's Celeritas. Yeah, Ascension, they're top of the league right now. As the current standings, the Celeritas side a bit lower down in 7th. But yeah, Ascension. Very strong showing for them. We've known to be a very solid side in previous seasons, and they show it once more in this game.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, you look at the Ascension roster, you can just see them screaming fear and showing it. They're definitely a force to be reckoned with. I mean, all players in the team managed to reach GC, I believe, in 3s. Just playing together just shows how much they play together, how well they can play together. It's definitely going to be a tough next few weeks for the rest of the teams, I must say.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ascension, a great squad here in Division 3. Really a chance to get into Division 2 next season. And I think really they're going to get playoffs. I think we can get no doubt on that.
Ascension, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a really dominant squad. Chucho, Cherry, Ku, and Jess, it's a really great all-rounded squad. All hit Grand Champ, as you said. And I think just a 3-0 is more than deserved over Godalion's Celeritas.
Yeah, definitely. And to mention as well, Ascension have only dropped 1 individual game so far this season, and that's really good record there. If they can just keep that up, I have no doubt in my mind they could get first seed going into playoffs and get themselves into Division 2 for next season, because they're looking very, very solid, I must say. But now, moving into the third match, and this is one you yourself, Kurs, was involved in, was Snakebite against Royals. 3-1 victory there, and I must say you guys will be happy with that one indeed.
Of course we were. I mean, week 1 we struggled, so we really needed to bounce back, and week 2 I think which was just the perfect setup because although it was a tough game, of course, and we just managed to edge ourselves over each game, just forcing the 3-1 win in the end.
I mean, yeah, I think Snakebite, you're in 3rd place now. Also, really deserved good squad overall, and. Now Royals, I don't really know much of that team, but all Germans I see here, and I think
So
Royals.
Snakebite, what do you mean?
So you say you're German yourself?
I'm pretty sure the roster that played was German. So.
Okay, fair enough. Well, not all German are fair then. But
this
yeah,
really struggles. I need to find this out. I'm really worried about this.
German?
Did someone mention? Okay, well, no. Yui said that we won 3-1, but said all 4 of us could play. I don't remember who sat out.
Yeah.
I think it was me that day. So we'll say it was Germans on Germans.
Yep.
Alright. Well, yeah, of course, Snakebite really well done by them. 3-1 victory over Royals, and I think they just have much potential to get into playoffs here in Division 3.
Yep, I do agree as well. Snakebite in 3rd right now, so they have a really decent match record. They could definitely make the playoffs as well, as long as they keep the run of form up, as I said, with Ascension as well. So we'll have to see what happens with that. As we now get into our next match, Darklight Esports
Was
with
a
the big
forfeit.
3-0. Was that a forfeit actually?
Yeah, Hive Central have forfeit the 2 games, the 2 weeks currently.
Yeah, I see.
With Hive Central, there is an issue, as at the fact that literally neither the captain nor the manager have responded in terms of if they are playing or not, because the team has had a big move around, and I think we'll be subbing in a team soon. I can't quite recall which one. Oh no, my apologies. We have Mystic Gaming coming in, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll just need to be updating that in the team sheets also, and the tournament page, of course.
Okay, well that'll be interesting to see. I do think Hive Central, not playing at all so far. But yeah, now we're getting a new team, Mystic Gaming. You said that will probably be announced by the time this podcast goes out. But yeah, that was a 4-bit win for Darklight, but because it's assuming it's before week 5 actually, so it means Mystic Gaming will have to play all the games beforehand, so Darklight will have to play them anyway. So we'll see what that results turns out to be in the future. And then the final match, Ascension Cross against No Hope Crimson. That one being a 3-0 sweep there. So yeah, really good result for Ascension. No Hope, really struggling so far this season. They're right at 9th right now in the standings. But yeah, Ascension gonna be happy with that one.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, Ascension Chronos have been a team from one of the early seasons, and they've definitely grown as a team and improved a considerable amount. They managed to make their way into Division 3 through promotion last season, so of course they're going to prove a challenge to the rest of these teams.
Yes, as a Kronos, my boys getting the 3-0 win over Nope Crimson. Really well done by them. And Nope Crimson, they don't really have the season they expected. And Assassin Kronos is in 5th place now, hoping to get into the playoff spot. I mean, they're just one place under it, almost halfway through the season. And it's well done by them. 3-0 win over Nope Crimson is really what they wanted.
Yeah, indeed. They're a big 3-0. Of course, getting a 3-0 sweep, that's really what you want, get the best possible result. And that will put us nicely into the week 3 matches now. At this current time, only 3 of them have been played. So this will be a short one. Starting off, again, Cursed team Snakebite getting a really close 3-2 win over Guillermo Delta. So that one going all the way to the 5th game, Cursed. How do you guys feel about that one?
It was definitely intense. I do have the team who played the roster, and that was me in there. We did manage to end up with a reverse sweep in a Game 5 overtime. So you can tell it came down to the wire.
Damn. Yeah, a big reverse sweep. And in Game 5 overtime, yeah, I've been in that position, the best of 7 I remember recently. Nearly reverse swept the best of 7 and lost in Game 7 overtime, which sucks. But to win a Game 5 overtime feels really good, I must say, for you guys. So yeah. Very well played, Dennis. What else do you think about this game?
Well, Guillermo Delta, it shows they're not a bad team if they can keep up, having a lead against Snakebite with 2-0, in the end just getting reverse swept. But yeah, then they're in 4th place now, Snakebite in 3rd. Pretty close teams, so, it was a good result for Snakebite. The result could have been different, but it was Snakebite who was getting the win in the end. Really well done by them. So, Guillermo Delta, I think we can expect much more from them this season.
Yeah, I think so too. They're a strong team indeed, and to lose by just that much, a tiny amount in that
by
game
a goal. That's all it was. It was a
one
goal.
One goal.
One goal
close.
Is that made all the
It could have
difference.
just as easily gone the other way, to be honest. So, Guillermo Delta, they're forced to be reckoned with still. A really close match. And they can't really kick themselves too hard for that because they played really well in that match, I imagine. And they're still up at the top of the standings. They're in the top 4 right now, I believe. So they'll be, still content with that, and they'll keep on pressing forward as we go into the next match. Darklight Esports, again with a 3-0 over Primal. A team that's been struggling with Primal, again, faltering here. Not much I can really say about it because Darklight, they're one of the top teams. They're currently 2nd, so yeah, to be expected, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Primal and the league standings, and they haven't won a game yet. It's really worrying and just quite upsetting, especially when you put all your time and effort into it, and only to come out with constant losses. But And all I can see here is that Primal Esports are just going to have to keep bouncing back, and they will make their way up, in my opinion.
Yeah, Premier Esport, they just have to get their wins now. I mean, they're almost halfway through the season and they haven't won a single game yet, a single series. So it's Darklight Esports who's currently at the second place of this Division 3, so that's really well done by them. But I think we can, expect Darklight Esports in the playoffs. It's gonna be close, but I think Darklight Esports, they have the potential to eventually get into the playoff spot at Primary Esports. They just have to do anything. They got to just not end up in last place and maybe to go to Division 4 because they really do not want that.
Yeah, they will not want it at all. No one wants to be in the bottom three because you could be in the relegation tournament or even getting a direct demotion into Division 4. So Primal Esports, they got to pick up at least a few wins to avoid that. Tough task, but I have faith in them. They could do it. And that puts us into our final match of Week 3 that got played. The other two haven't been played, as I mentioned. Ascension, again, coming out with a win over No Hope Crimson. Ascension, they've yet to lose here, and that's actually, so far, the only individual game they've lost this season, and that just proves how strong they have been so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a result you expect. Ascension just being the top seed, top favoured team in terms of who people are going to think will win. And No Hope Crimson just did struggle, although they managed to take a game off. Props to them. Of course, the one game doesn't make all the difference.
I mean, yeah, Ascension, a really dominant side here in Division 3. No Hope Crimson's really struggling, but they got a game against Ascension, the first loss of Ascension, and the second win of No Hope Crimson in game, so pretty unexpected win there from No Hope, so it's not a sweep for Ascension, but it's still the win for Ascension, and as expected, nothing really to say about that. Ascension, top of the table, as expected, maybe 3-1 there, good result for Ascension.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, swiftly moving on, we'll go and read the league standings. Like you said, Ascension first, Darklight Esports managed to place themselves second, Snakebite getting third, and Galamo Delta getting 4. That's your top 4. Ascension Chronos are just creeping their way in. They do have the same amount of points, and they're just losing on game difference, which I did mention earlier may not make a difference, but when it comes into the later weeks, it's definitely going to prove to be a struggle.
Yeah, it will do. Of course, that top 4, no real surprises there. Maybe you could swap Glamo Delta and Ascension Chronos, and it wouldn't be too big of a surprise. But Ascension Chronos definitely threatening Glamo Delta there, just right on their tail. Ascension with the right results could easily find their way into the top 4. But yeah, about as expected, of course, we're seeing the usual familiar faces of Ascension and Snakebite in particular up there. And of course, Darklight, the newcomers, making waves here. And as for the bottom of the standings, of course, Primal we mentioned earlier, really struggling down there at the bottom of the table. They're dead last, and they've got to pull it back later on in the season. But things could really shift in Division 3 because, as you mentioned, Kurs, there is a Hive that's actually dropping out and Mystic Gaming's coming in. So that could really make all the difference in Division 3 because there'll be a bit more competition coming in now.
Yeah, a new team instead of Hive Central. Everything can happen. Primary Esports not having the season they wanted. Maybe they can bounce back, but they already lost 3 games here, and that's not what they want. Maybe Ascension Chronos, they can get into the playoffs, but we'll see. But it's pretty close in the top 4 now, and Ascension Chronos is creeping in, and we'll see what happens in Division 3. Anything can happen.
Indeed. I mean, now we'll just hop into Division 2 now, and before we do actually start that, Relevant Esports Black had to replay their Week 1 game against No Hope Esports. They did win, although there was a player issue that resulted in them having to replay the game. However, they did manage to secure themselves that win anyway, so that's a well done to them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know it can be really frustrating to have to replay a part of a series. It's happened quite a few times to the ECC before, where if it comes down to a player issue or a technical problem that causes it, having to replay it can be a bit demoralizing because like, oh, not this again. But LV Black, they hold out and they do get the win again. They had to put in a bit more effort, but they will still get the win over No Hope Esports despite that.
Moving on into the Week 2 games, like we mentioned, We'll go for Radiant Esports against Esports Legends. That's a 3-1 to Radiant Esports. How did you think that went?
Yeah, 3-1. Of course, Esports Legends, they're a unbalanced team, as we've mentioned before, because you've got like Havoc who's like 1600, and you got Weevil who's like what, Diamond 2, Diamond 3, something like
Scraping
that.
1,000 MMR.
Yeah, so you can see there's like a 500-600 MMR gap in that team. So yeah, it's a really lopsided squad. But Radiant Esports, of course, they're a bit more of a, they've got a much closer in the MMR, so of course they know how to play with each other a bit more effectively. Radiant Esports, a 3-1 win. They've been looking pretty decent so far. I'll really quickly bring up the Div 2 standings. And yeah, Radiant Esports are in second right now with Esports Legends. They are tied dead last. So yeah, it's to be expected still, but it's at least good that Esports Legends pick up the game. I think even Weevil scored a goal in that series.
Yes, he did.
Oh,
I think it might be making its way into the highlights as well.
Yeah,
Weevil.
if it was as long as it wasn't a complete tap-in, then I think he'll make it in, I reckon. But yeah, still good for Radiant to get that win. It's one they needed.
Yeah, Radiant, really well done by them. And I know two of their roster players, Tom and Kersey, they've been playing a lot with each other, and they are great players as well. And a 3-1 over Esports Legends, that's, I think deserve Esports Legends, the meme team of ECC, I would say.
The meme team of Division 2, I think each division will have its own meme team.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah,
just have
actually,
to figure out which it is.
Yeah. But yeah, Esports Legends here. They are the last place, but I think they're just playing really for fun. Maybe I think they did not expect they would get playoffs this division. So it's fun to see them in the league, but they get beaten by Radiant 3-1, and I think it's a fair result for Radiant.
Yeah, indeed. So now we'll move on into the second match. And Dennis, you were one that playing this one. It's Unknown Esports up against Clappink, and that was a game 5 against the Spanish side. Clappink looked a bit shaky in other games that I watched them in, but again, they fall to the hands of your squad here, Dennis. So what do you feel about that match and how you think it went?
It went to game 5. I remember in game 2 my PC crashed like at the start of the game, so the boys had to do it with 2 men for like 2 minutes. In the end, it went well. We won that game. But in the end, it went to game 5. Not really what we expected. We hoped really a 3-0, maybe a 3-1 win. But in the end, it went down to a game 5. Well played to KursedWolf. They played a bit weird, I have to say, a bit weird in rotations and decision making. But they are not a bad squad. I would say in Division 2, they could make some troubles to other teams. It's well played to KursedWolf, GG's, and we have to carry on, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, moving on to the next game, you see Irrelevant Esports Black getting a 3-2 against No Hope Sapphire. They managed to win the Week 1 game twice, so they definitely had a lot of momentum going in against No Hope Sapphire. So I think they overall have benefited a lot from this game.
Yeah, they have indeed. It takes a bit of a mental fortitude, if you have to replay part of a series. To do it again, and they've shown it once more here. They are number 1 in Division 2 as of this recording, so looking really strong. And as for No Hope Sapphire, they are sitting in 5th, so they are pushing for that top 4, just like in Division 3. So yeah, No Hope Esports, they can take this result and think they did well. They brought the top team to game 5, and they could potentially make this way into the playoffs because it's looking pretty close. In the top half of the table, so you never know what could happen, to be honest.
Yeah, No Hope Sapphire, the team of Aztecs, who is obviously well known in the ECC community. He just lost with 3-2 with his team against Irrelevant Esports Black. Irrelevant Esports Black, not a bad squad either in Division 2 here. I think, they could get playoffs, and there are also Wanskook, VXTX, and Serenity, good squad. We still have to play them, but I think we can face a real challenge there against Irrelevant Esports Black. I think they're just a good squad overall, and 3-2. They just get it in game 5, but well played to both teams here.
Indeed, and going again with your saying against the relevant Esports Black, we'll just have to wait and see, because any team can win any game at this point. It is definitely possible for anyone. We'll go on to Misfits against Ascension Pyros. that being a 3-0 sweep. I can't remember if that's a sweep or a forfeit win. It isn't. It isn't a forfeit. I always check each time just in case the team had to forfeit or not. But there's no forfeits in this division, which is great for the time being.
Yeah. But I was actually streaming that match, and actually it was Stealthy Wolf and Dennis casting it. I remember it. And I suppose Stealthy Wolf was gonna lose his bloody mind when he was watching that, because I don't understand. Like, he got so tilted by Misfits. How, like, well, I don't want to say how bad the rotation were, but it was like
how
letting in so many, unpredictable. I think that's a better way to put it. I don't know, they're just letting in so many weird goals. It feels like Essential Powers. Yeah, they played really well, and they capitalized so good off of Misfits' mistakes. But I feel like it was just Misfits beating themselves really in that match, because they didn't look that good at all. If I'm being honest, it was pretty disappointing to watch. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, of course, Misfits. They were the top seed of the divisions too, but they're really not laying that seer. I mean, Misfits, they're just not rotating well in that series, and as of now, they're in 9th place, just 1 place above Esports Legends. They won 1 game and lost 9 games, so that's not what they want. And, Assassin Powers, they're doing a pretty good job. They've won their both games until now and are in 2nd place. It's going to be a really, really good, really good struggle against them in this season. But Misfits, they really got to do something about their rotations, because, they are top seeded and they still have yet to let it see to everyone in ECC, everyone here, the viewers on stream, because they really want to make something right here.
Indeed, they do. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just getting yourself to those top 4, making playoffs, and occasionally scoring the stylish goals that you'd love to do. We'll move on to the next game of No Hope Esports against DSEA Red. Unfortunately for DSEA Red, that was a 3-0 sweep.
Yeah, a really big sweep coming out from No Hope Esports. I think it's what they needed, because they struggled a little bit to begin with, I think. But as I said, they're pushing into the top of the standings here. But yeah, DSEA Red, of course, they are a returning team. They've been here for multiple seasons, and I think it's not too much for cause for concern, even though it was a 3-0. DSA Red, they are at 2-1 as the time of this recording. I believe they've not played the Week 4 match just yet. But DSA Red, they can still bounce back and even push for top 4 as well. DSA Red, they have had really good showings. I streamed one of the Week 3 games against No Hope Sapphire, which we'll get onto in a little bit. But yeah, still really good for No Hope Esports. I think it's a win they really needed.
Yeah, really well done by No Hope Esports. Of course, DSA Red, they promoted from Division 3 last season, and they have a struggle here against No Hope Esports. That's not a big matter for them. Maybe they can still get into playoff spot, because they won their first game, and we're just gonna see how they end up. DSA Red, I wish them good luck. No Hope Esports, dominant result here, and we'll see what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, it is going to be an interesting next few weeks for every team, really.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to Week 3. We are doing good for time, to be fair.
Yeah.
We've been at it for an hour, and we're on the 3rd division. Oh no, never mind. We're on the 2nd. Yeah, we did miss the last week. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a good time for us all to record it, so we're just gonna try and do every other week if we can't make the extra week in between.
Yeah.
This Week 3, we have Relevant Esports Black against Esports Legends, which is an unfortunate 3-0 for Esports Legends. Again, you can't really make much of a comment about it.
No, you can't. It's Esports Legends. Like, that's all you can have to say. It's expected, to be honest. As much as there's some good lads there on the Esports Legends side. I'm not going to take that away from them, but ILV Black like Esports Legends is just more like a pickup team, if you will. They don't actually scrim with each other. It's like Havoc and Weevil are usually just doing management stuff. Anyways, so it's not like they played all that often. But yeah, ILV Esports Black, they're the actual team here. Of course, they're going to play more solid against a lopsided team of Esports Legends. But that's all I can really say. Like, not much else to comment.
Esports Black, of course, the 3-0. It's pretty, expected. Esports Legends, they just have one game in this league play until now, and nothing really to say about this result 3-0 to Irrelevant Esports Black, pretty expected. And let's hop on to the next one, I think.
Indeed, you want to take it away?
Yep, the next one.
No.
No Hope Esports and Misfits. 3-0 again for No Hope Esports. What is happening to Misfits? Weren't they top seeds, like, or something?
I'll
They
try
were
and
top
have a
seed.
quick check.
I'm pretty sure they're top
I
seed.
remember they were at least like.
Yep, they were 1490. They were top seed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, it's again like another sweep. I'm like, I mean, we started against Ascension Pyros on stream, and it was the rotations. It's probably going to be the same issue again, like, because No Hope Esports, like, I don't expect the number 1 seed to just get swept like that, like twice in a row, and then like the other game was a 3-1. Like, I don't really get it. It's like Misfits just like really underwhelming, I think, considering their seed, even though seed doesn't mean too much. Still, not really the result I would expect out of them. I wouldn't think they would be almost dead last, but yeah, it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you can't discredit the No Hope Esports team, of course. I mean, I know all 3 players on that roster are Welsh, all are my friends in real life, and they all play. They play well. They don't play together that often, so the fact that they managed to get this 3-0 sweep without regular gaming with each other is quite surprising, but also like very commendable.
I mean, yeah, Misfits, you know, what can you say about it? They're just not doing what everyone expected from them, of course, because they were top seeded. But as we already mentioned, their rotations, it's a bit off, and they really got to work on that. Maybe in scrims, maybe they're just not scrimming enough, and you know, you see that in the league here, that they're just nearly in the last place. So that's also the benefit of just scrimming often enough. And in the end, now No Hope Esports getting an easy 3-0 win here over Misfits, and I think it's time to hop over to the next series.
Yeah, that next series being Radiant Esports and Clap Pink. Yet again, another 3-0. Radiant Esports showing that they're one of the top teams. They're in second right now, only 1 loss so far. But yeah, Clap Pink. They did have an alright showing. It was a game 5 in week 2, but now they're getting swept again, and they're all the way at the bottom. Yeah, Radiant Esports still showing that they're definitely going to be a top 4 team this season. I have no doubt that they'll be in playoffs. But yeah, another great showing.
Oh, indeed, Radiant Esports definitely have the potential to get to that top 4 spot, and unfortunately for Clap Pink, although they managed to play the ECC season 4 in the same division, they just haven't clearly played enough in that time off to keep themselves up to speed against these other teams that are just quite clearly surpassing them.
Yeah, Clap Pink, it's you know, they played pretty good against us, but Radiant, you know, as I said, it's not a bad squad either. Maybe could get in playoff spot, and you know, Clap Pink, they just get swept by them, and really well result by Radiant, of course, and we'll see where they will end in this season.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see where both these teams end in the end. I think Radiant Esports, they'll be top 4. Clap Pink, they'll look to try escape the relegation spots at least, but playoffs is still definitely possible. Now, moving on to the 4th match and final match of week 3, as the 5th match, Ascension Pyros and Unknown Esports, is yet to be played. DSA Red and No Up Sapphire, which I actually streamed on my own channel, and this one was a mental series, shall we say. It was really back and forth. But I think No Up Sapphire, they just let it slip in the end. And yeah, DSA Red, they capitalized and they closed out the series really strong.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, they managed to bring this to a game 5. No Hope Sapphire were pulling through in each game, but of course it just wasn't enough. And DSEA Red, that's gonna kill me the amount of times I'm not gonna be able to pronounce that. I remember in the early seasons I just said DC because that's just how it looks. But yeah, DSEA Red managed to get this win. I'd say it's a surprising win in my opinion, because I don't want to seem like I'm diminishing the capability of Sapphire, but DSEA Red are a really, really strong roster, and the fact that it was only a 3-2 quite frankly surprises me. I'd expect it to be more of a 3-1 or a 3-0.
Yeah, I was thinking either way. I was banking on No Hope to win this one to begin with. I felt like they could have been stronger, and despite losing that first game, they did show that they were probably the better roster in the second and third game. And I think they were leading in the 4th game as well, but they just let it slip in the end, and DSA Red, they kind of woken up after managing to come back, and in that fifth game they absolutely dominated.
Oh yeah, giving DSEA Red time is the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, because DSA Red are a really dangerous team, so you can't really give them like any space or time, because if you just like let off the gas just a little bit, DSA Red are just gonna pounce on it, and they can come back just like they did in this series. And again, it's well deserved to get that win for DSA Red, despite it going so close in the game 5.
Yeah, as you said, the game 5 really close areas here. The easier just scrapping the win here. Hope Sapphire just losing. I mean, it's a pretty good job by DSA Red winning against Nope Sapphire, because Nope Sapphire, they are the bad squad if you look at the roster, and DSA Red just promoted from Division 3. Well done by them, and maybe they can scrap into the playoff spot at the end of the season. We'll see.
Indeed. Going into the rankings of Division 2, we have an interesting top 4. Not to say that their places are shocking, but the fact that we have 2 third places. First we have Irrelevant Esports Black. Second is Radiant Esports, and Unknown Esports Spider with a tied third. With Ascension Pyros. Their game against each other is going to be a big decider.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it will. Of course, at the time of this recording, it's not being played, but I can't wait to see what comes out of this match. Hopefully, we can even get it on, either the official stream or someone else will stream it, because I'd like to see how that one goes down, because we'll determine who goes ahead in the standings. So that's going to be an exciting one for sure. We'd love to see that. But as for some other teams, of course, No Hope Esports and DSA Red still with the capability to get into the top 4. Really, it's just the teams in the top 4 currently, and 5th and 6th as well. I think it's currently between them to see who gets into playoffs, because all of them are playing really close with each other at the moment.
Indeed. I mean, I think the biggest question here is, will Esports Legends make it out of away from bottom 3?
Well, that's a massive ask.
They're currently joint 9th with Misfits. I think
Yeah,
that game will be a very, very big decider.
That one will be a decider. I mean, it'll just be like, I don't know, they just got to get wins against some of the bottom teams, I feel like, because against the top teams, they don't stand that much of a chance. Esports Legends, I think they could claw out and maybe get out if they get some really big wins, but it's going to be a huge ask. They've all got to play super solid, but as of right now, I can't see it just by how they perform so far, but we'll just have to see. I mean, anything's possible in the ECC after all. We've seen some crazy stuff before, so it's not out of the question for me just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see Irrelevant Esports Black not leading, and Assassin Pyrus, yes, and then Radiant Esports and then Esports Spider in shared 3rd place. And as I can say, we will be playing Ascension tomorrow.
Ooh.
So maybe it will be on stream. I don't know yet.
I'm going to quickly check if there's a stream slot.
Yeah,
It's not.
There isn't.
L.
That's an F.
I'm not even here for it either. I can't
Just let me
commentate.
stream
I
it,
can't
lol.
cast.
I'm not even here to play because I have to. I'll just let the other players play.
That's a rip.
Yeah, but
You'll be praying then.
That's the 2 of 3
yeah,
who's not able to
for real.
partake in this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a real task against Assassin Pirates, because they are the bad squad. We have scrimmed them, and I think we've won against them. So it's gonna be pretty interesting how this looks like. I think they also have a transfer swap, but I think that Nope Esports 5th place. They have 2 wins. Maybe they can get into the playoffs. Esports Legends, Misfits, and Clad Pink, they have 0 wins. It's just all to them who's going to get out of the bottom 3, and they really have to win.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a confirmed bottom 3. Like, unless one of them managed to scrape a win, it's not going to change much from there, in my opinion. It really does just matter as to who's going to get that 10th spot and force their own promotion.
Yeah, we're gonna see how that's gonna end up. But I think it's time to hop over to the next division, Division 1, week 2 of Division 1.
Do you want to take that away, then?
I think the first game of Division 1, Day 2, Irrelevant Esports getting a 3-0 over Savior Esports. And I think Irrelevant Esports, They have done pretty alright. They're in 4th place at the moment, so that's alright for them. They just lost one game and won 2 games. And Saviors Esports, they have 1 game, lost 1, and unfortunately had to forfeit 1.
Saviors have forfeited 1. This might be the forfeited game. I'm not entirely sure.
This could be actually.
I don't recall it being played or being submitted.
So that might be a forfeited one. Actually, I can have a quick look at our very handy spreadsheet.
Yeah, you do that.
Have a really quick look. It'll take a sec to load up. But if I look in week 2,
in the meantime, we will go across to 1, 2, 3 against Untouchables.
Actually, before we get into that, I've just brought it up. It was a forfeit.
Yeah.
So no need to talk about that. Just a good point.
1,
Anyway.
2, 3 against Untouchables, getting the 1, 2, and 3 win games. Sorry, that was I'll show myself out.
Yeah, just get out now.
Thanks for watching, guys. This is the ECC Podcast. Oh my god, I'm gonna get so much hate for that one.
I mean, I respect the attempts. I'll give you that.
Yeah. The English could have been better, but you know, we'll leave it as it is. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 got a 3-0 win against Untouchables. How do you guys think that game went?
Yeah, I think it was about as expected. 1, 2, 3, they are a replacement team, but they've come in. They're currently second, so very strong showing. Untouchables, we saw them last season actually playing, but they didn't do so well. They were pretty low in the standings. But Untouchables, yeah, still they're hanging around the 6th place area, tied with Polar Race at this point in time. So yeah, I think it's about as expected, to be honest. Really good result for 1, 2, 3. They'll be happy with that. Untouchables, they really got to step up now. I think if they want any kind of chance to get in top 4, but we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, of course, dominant result by them. I think they were a new team in ECC as well. After someone disbanded in Division 1, they were the team that replaced the disbanded team. So really well done by them. And, you know, getting that 3-0 against Untouchables, really well result by them. And I think that puts them up. After 3 games, it will be tied up between Help Me Please and 1, 2, 3 in 1st place. So really expecting to see a lot from these both teams. But 1, 2, 3, really good result here against Untouchables.
Indeed, yeah. And moving on to the next game, we have Gedalion's Tempest against Polar Race. Polar Race getting themselves the 3-0 win. Was this expected for you guys? I mean, looking at the league standards, it kind of makes sense, seeing as Gedalion's Tempest have yet to win a game.
Yeah, you'd think that, but for me, I did not expect that at all, to be honest. I would think Gedalion's Tempest would be winning that, considering the names they have on their team. I think in that match they played with Dave, Matic, and Azara.
Oh god, yeah, that...
You know, the third player, Azara, no longer on the team, I believe, but... yeah, I would expect a lot more of them. I think that's a really disappointing result, because Polar Race... you know, I would still expect Gedalions to win that against Polar Race, because Polar Race is not the strongest team in the division by any means. I would expect it to be at least in the bottom half, and Gedalion's Tempest, even though the roster's different last season, they played incredible last season when they had Savio on the team, but now it's not doing so well, and I don't know what it is, but yeah, really disappointing result in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. They promoted last season from Division 2, and you know, a 3-0 here, losing against Polar Ace is not what they want. So yeah, they really gotta have to wrap that around. Maybe they really have to win all of the games now to maybe make a chance to get into playoff spot. But yeah, unfortunate for Gedalion's Tempest. Well done by Polar Ace, but I think, you know, Gedalion's Tempest, they really need to win all the games now.
Yeah, indeed. Moving on to a more controversial game, one that had to be replayed. Help me please against the Salt Shakers. The Salt Shakers had to have it replayed as a 1-0 up. I believe Cookies on Help Me Please had connection issues with the Rocket League servers. And, yeah, we can't really... I don't want to touch upon like the reasoning, because it does just seem like backhanding both teams in this scenario. It was a tough decision to call, and that we did the best that we could in terms of making it fair.
Yeah, we did the best we could. It was a really complex scenario, but nevertheless, it did get replayed from 1-0 up to the Salt Shakers, and they did go on to win the second game. Then Help Me Please with that reverse sweep coming in, just, you know, well played to them. To be honest, how many players I believe they couldn't play with Archek, couldn't play in that match due to a competitive ruling we made. In that one, where Archex was suspended for one match, but despite that, still got the reverse sweep, and yeah, very good for Help Me Please.
Yeah, I'm pleased, of course, a good squad overall. 3-2, it's just a game 5 winner, but help me please. Until now, they've won all their games, very dominant performance here in Division 1, and congratulations to them. Really close game, controversial game, but in the end, it's help me please who's taking the win here.
Indeed it was. Now we have Serenity Amethyst against Cupcake Crew, and it pains me to see it happen again.
Yeah.
Cupcake Crew losing this 1-3. Serenity Amethyst getting that 3-1. And
yes.
It's just a disappointment for me.
Yeah, because Cupcake Crew, I mean, you got some nice people on that team. Celsius is one of those guys, an ECC legend, we have to say. I think he's been here from pretty much the very start. And back again, but yeah, another loss, really disappointing. But it was against a pretty formidable opponent in the form of Serenity Amethyst. They're a team from last season who unfortunately just missed out on playoffs. But they're back again. They're the top seed, and they're going to be looking to potentially get into the Champions Division next season. So far, Serenity Amethyst is looking really strong. So as disappointing as it is to see Cupcake Crew taking another loss here, Serenity Amethyst, gotta commend them. They did really well in this match.
Yeah, disappointing to see Cupcake Crew losing this game. I mean, we all know Celsius. I know Shrip pretty good, so really sad to see them lose here. But Serenity Amethyst, of course, they're a really good side here in Division 1, and they were top seeded, and they're third place at the moment. Won all the games until now, so that's really well done by them. And I think we can see a lot more from Serenity Amethyst in this division. Cupcake Crew, they just gotta get their wins here, and I mean, maybe just getting that 5th, 6th spot, maybe getting into 4th spot, but it's gonna be a really hard task for them. But we see how it's still going to turn out.
It was a very interesting week that week 2 was. It was definitely a controversial one for all divisions. We'll be getting on to wait, how have I got Division 1 up twice? Well, that's just not right. We'll be getting on to Champs Div.
I think it's time to go to week 3 first.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, we will have to continue Division 1, where more excitement and upsets take place. Help me please against Irrelevant Esports get a 3-1. You'd mentioned earlier, Faded, that Relevant Esports weren't quite happy with their performance for this game.
Yeah, they were not happy at all. Remember after the game, it was a really disappointing one for them because I think they probably could have done a lot better in that match. I would have expected at least a game 5 out of this one, even if ILV were to lose. But yeah, disappointing result for ILV in particular. But Helmy Plays, I think Helmy Plays are honestly the best team in the division right now, and they showed it because ILV were heavily favoured coming into this season as well. So yeah, still a good result for Helmy Plays nevertheless. But ILV, I hope they can bounce back in the later weeks. And not let this one affect them too much.
Yeah, no, good result by Help Me Please. Irrelevant Esports, a tough team to beat, but Help Me Please, good squad overall. Won all the games until now, really well done. First place for them, so we can see them in playoff spot probably. But we'll go over to the Serenity Amethyst against Polar Ace game, and that's a 3-0 win for Polar Ace. So what do you guys think of that?
No, it was a 3-0 win for Serenity Amethyst.
Oh, sorry. Serenity Amethyst. My bad.
Yeah. If you were to go the other way, I would be I would ask what the hell's wrong with you, because I wouldn't think of that to go for the Polar Ace. But yeah, Serenity Amethyst, big 3-0 win, expected to be honest. Polar Ace, not the strongest team in this division by any means, in my opinion. Whereas Serenity Amethyst, they are definitely up there. So yeah, they just got the 3-0 win. Business as usual for them, and they'll be happy with themselves for sure.
Yeah, a very comfortable game it seemed there. Polar Ace couldn't quite break down the defense of Serenity Amethyst, and again, like we mentioned, that was a simple 3-0 for them. Unfortunately, again, for the next game for Cupcake Crews, it was a 2-3 against Untouchables. Close one nonetheless. Again, Untouchables managed to secure themselves this 3-2 win. Was this surprising to you guys?
A little, I think. I would expect Cupcake Crew to be winning that, to be honest, because Untouchables, just seeing them from last season and so far this season, they don't look that strong, to be honest. But I would expect it still to be a close game nonetheless. But Untouchables taking that, a bit of a surprise for me, certainly, and again, a bit disappointing for the Cupcake Crew to lose in such a close series. But still, Untouchables will be happy with that. It's their first win of the season, and they're just going to take it as it is.
Yeah, for the untouchable side, you gotta win against the bottom teams, and that's what did right here in Game 5, but nonetheless, they get a win here. And Cupcake Crew, they really need to get their wins, as I just said. Cupcake Crew, they had a tough start of the season, 3 matches played, 3 losses, but I think, they just gotta get their wins now, and maybe something will go awry for them. So that's about it for this match. I think it's time to go over to the next match, which will be 1-2-3 against Saviors Esports, and it's a 3-0 win for 1-2-3. And as we said, 1-2-3 really dominant performance in this season so far against Saviors Esports, who's not having their time of the season. They only have 1 win after 3 games, and 1-2-3 after the third game played. They've won all their games. 3 out of 3, so really well done by them.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, looking at the league standings, 1-2-3 being the 2nd seed against Savior Esports being 5th, it does seem like the more appropriate way to see this as a 3-1 in my opinion, but again, unfortunately, for Saviors Esports, it resulted in a 3-0. But I'd say even though maybe the games in themselves were quite close, but 1-2-3 just managed to come on top after each and every game.
Yeah, it's what matters most. You got to close those games out, especially the more intense ones. That's when the pressure's on, and you got to be able to handle it. And 1-2-3 did it spectacularly well, and they get the 3-0 sweep is what they wanted. And now going into the final match of Week 3 in Division 1, this one was also streamed. Dennis and I watched it, and it was actually one of the best matches I've seen out of Div 1 so far. I actually really enjoyed watching this one. It was the Salt Shakers 3-1 over Godalian's Tempest. And yeah, the Salt Shakers playing super well again, and I think this is the match where they actually showed what they were truly capable of with some incredible team play, which we mentioned, Dennis. We did start to finish casting another match of theirs before the podcast today, so yeah, they're just keeping their run of form going here, and it's brilliant to see out of them.
Yeah, Salt Shakers, they're really doing well until now. Salt Shakers, they've been pretty dominant in this game as well against Godalian's Tempest. Nitro is really good dribbles, really good assists, and you can see how important he is for the roster. Unfortunately for Godalian's Tempest, they still can't get the winner after 3 games. They haven't lost any, or they haven't won any game, I have to say, any series. So we'll see how that turns out. But Salt Shakers, until now, they've been playing pretty good from the games we've casted together.
Yep, so maybe a really strong team, and I can't wait to see more of them, because they're an incredible team. They could be top 4, so it'll be nice to see.
Indeed. Salt Shakers did have a very rough first 2 weeks, and to see them bounce back in this 3rd week definitely shows what they are capable of. And I'd like to see them go further, in all fairness.
Yeah, I would like to see them go all the way into playoffs, certainly. As for Godalian's Tempest, it's a really disappointing loss again. I feel like they could have done better in that series, but the Salt Shakers, they just looked much better as a team overall. But now we'll head into the Division 1 standings. As of now, of course, this is halfway through Week 4, but we've got Help Police in first, 1-2-3 in second, Serenity Amethyst in third, and ILV in 4th place. So, yeah, again, about as expected, this top 4. Just what we think we would be seeing. But again, teams like the Salt Shakers and Untouchables, and maybe even Polar Ace even, could push into the top 4 with the right results, I think.
Yeah, Polaris can definitely creep their way in. Salt Shakers definitely seem like they're going to make themselves a top 4. I'm not sure which place they'll take and who they'll take it from, though, which is the main issue here. I wouldn't want Relevant Esports to drop that top 4, even though they have, unfortunately, switched names, which by ECC rules can't happen through the seasons. So that'll be, if they do stay, happening next season. But yeah, the Salt Shakers definitely seem like they can creep themselves into top 4, and Untouchable, sorry. It just looks like a top 6 situation. You just can't tell who of those 6 teams is going to managed to secure themselves a top 4 position, which is great in my opinion.
Yeah, everything can happen, as you say. We've seen the Salt Shakers. They're in 5th place now, but they can easily get into top 4. Just like maybe Polar Ace and Untouchables, everything can happen. But also the top 4 teams here in Division 1, they are playing pretty good so far this season. And, everything can happen still in Division 1. And, I mean, pretty much in every division, anything can happen. So, really interesting to see almost halfway through things will happen here. And, the Salt Shakers, will they get into playoffs or not?
Indeed. Going into Champs Division now, we will start off with a forfeit win, I believe, to Sacre Blues. You can confirm that if you...
Yeah, that is a forfeit win.
Against Shazoo.
Yep, I believe what happened with that is Shazoo were playing the Esports Championships tournament at the same time. They had a match in that, and they must have forgotten that they had an ECC match as well, so... Sacre Blues, they'll take their forfeit win.
Clearly they don't know their priorities, I mean.
Yeah, so maybe be careful of that Shazoo next time. But now we'll move into the next match. This one was on stream, Stay Fresh against Godalians. Stay Fresh putting up a very solid performance this match, I must say. I was a bit surprised, actually. I was thinking Godalians would actually take this, but Stay Fresh showing they're one of the top dogs here in Champsdiv.
Oh, indeed. Stay Fresh getting up 3-1 against Godalians. Godalians being a very dominant team. And to see Stay Fresh overcome them is quite a... I wouldn't say a shock, but quite a... I'm trying to think of my words now. It's...
What is the word?
That's my problem. You don't know the word, and nor do I.
Yeah.
It's quite a statement, we'll say.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, because the fact that the Godalians, you'd expect to be quite dominant in this Champs Div, as for the same with other teams here. But Stay Fresh managing to overcome them really just proves how tough they are.
Yeah, I think we've seen Godalians as the champions of the Champions Division last season, so a pretty surprising result, I would say, against Stay Fresh. I think Stay Fresh, we haven't seen them before in ECC, but it's they've done a pretty good job beating Godalians here with 3-1. So yeah, GG's to them and congratulations to Stay Fresh.
Indeed, Evicted Esports now against Cypher Green. How do you think this one went? I mean, for me, Cypher Green just haven't been able to perform quite well. They are bottom of the table. I'm not sure where they were meant to be seeded. They were 8th. But they do look like they're struggling in this high tier division.
Yeah, they are really struggling a lot. I don't think, I would say they're more of a Division 1 team than a Champions Division team. I think there's other teams that would be more worthy of it, I guess. But yeah,
Best
Cypher Green
suited.
at least. Yeah. But the thing is, Evicted, they're a promoted team, formerly AVX, getting picked up by, AVX Evicted ended up merging. To correct myself there, but it's an expected one. Evicted playing really well in this matchup. Cypher Green, they did manage to take a game, but doesn't matter too much. Evicted will take that any day, and Evicted have actually looked pretty solid this season so far. So yeah, they can certainly go far, I think.
Yeah, it's a fortunate lose for Cypher Green, but Cypher Green, they're just having the season they predicted to have. Cypher Green, they've lost all their games until now, and that's not what you want. They only picked up 1 win and lost 12. So yeah, that's not what you want as being Cypher Green, but good win by Evicted Esports, and yeah, that's that game done, I think.
Indeed, an unfortunate next game here for Faded, a definite Bim Bam, I'd say. Unlucky getting a 3-2 against the Brexit Bim Bams. How do you feel this game went for you, Faded, seeing as you were there?
Better than expected, I'd say, because Unlucky, they're I would say they're a top 3 team, I'd reckon. They're a very, very solid roster, Banjo Kare, Super and Neugard, all 3 of them very solid players. And to take into Game 5, honestly, I'm actually pretty proud of the team's performance. We almost reverse swept them, actually. We made a pretty insane comeback in the 3rd game. I mean, if you watch the stream, it was pretty ridiculous how it happened, but we nearly brought it back, but they really outclassed us, I think, and they really deserved to win that match. But still, I'm not too bothered about it, because I don't think we were expected to win either way.
I mean, yeah, unlucky result for Brex and Bim Bam. We'll see what I did there, but
Hey, the puns are my thing, alright? Stay away.
But yeah, game 5 almost reverse swept them, but still they have done pretty good against Unlucky. As Faded said, they will probably get into playoffs. Unlucky, so it's not a bad result, I would say. Unlucky, they have played 2 games so far, won both of them, and Brexit Bim Bam, they didn't really have the start of the season they wanted, but I think they can get back into the season. Maybe push for playoffs if they just win all their games now. But we'll see how it turns out.
Anyways, we'll now move into the last match of week 2, which is Wind and Rain against Trifecta. I think this game was on stream, and it was a big 3-0 to Wind and Rain. Honestly, expected result. Wind and Rain played super solid from start to finish, and they truly deserved to win that one.
Oh, indeed. I mean, this game tied in with the next week because both games were played on stream on the same day. If that first game had gone slightly differently, this next game that we will talk about could have ended a lot more in the favour of their opponents. But yeah, Wind and Rain managed to get their first win and then managed to just keep up the momentum. Wind and Rain not really getting a surprising win. I would say a 3-0 would be more accurate as it was. And there's not much needed to be said.
Well, yeah, Wind and Rain, really dominant performance against Trifecta. After 3 games they've played, Wind and Rain is leading in the top in the first place, having won 9 games, haven't lost 1, so that's a really good result by them. Really good first 3 games for them in this division. So I think it's time to hop over to week 3 of the Champions Division,
which was another
Hyper L.
Bim Bam.
Well,
Another Bim Bam as the Brexit Bim Bam's got one against Evicted, who managed to get a 3-1 in that series. Again, Faded, how do you think that went for you guys?
Oh, I was a bit annoyed by that, because I feel like we had more pressure on Evicted, honestly. I think we spent a lot more time in attack. But it's just like the shooting accuracy wasn't there for us. I think for me in particular, like every shot was going to the crossbar or something, and it was, yeah, I was hoping to really win that one because I felt like we played a bit better more of the time, but it's just like our defense wasn't there. They were able to get quite a few breakaway goals, and just one of those games I feel like. And I mean, we're not too bothered about it now. We just like kind of move on from it. Not much we can do about it right now. And the fact that we actually had back-to-back games, we played unlucky before that, so we had momentum going into that series. But yeah, what can you do, honestly?
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for you guys there. Moving on to the game that I mentioned, Wind and Rain against Stay Fresh. After getting that first win, they pushed forward and got another 3-0 against, again, Stay Fresh. I don't think that surprises anyone, really.
Not that big of a surprise, honestly. Stay Fresh, they have looked pretty good this season, but with this matchup in particular, I think it was the first match they were playing with Alux, who's their new thirds. I believe now it is, it's Swift Blaze and Alux that are playing on the roster now. So of course you can expect the synergy is not quite there yet because they've not played that much with each other. But yeah, still 3-0, not too big a surprise to Wind and Rain. Stay Fresh, actually, I think they brought like a 5 or 6 minute overtime against in the third game of that series, but still Wind and Rain came out on top, and yeah, another very convincing win for Wind and Rain, just looking extremely solid so far.
Yeah, really well played by Wind and Rain. Really solid this season so far, having lost any single game, and it looks like they just carry it on in this game as well against Stay Fresh. Stay Fresh isn't a bad squad either, but just Wind and Rain really hard to beat them. So well played for them, and it gets them into the top of the league here in the Champions Division, and well played by both teams here. And I think it's time to hop over to the next game, Sakura Blues against Trifecta. A 3-0 win for Sakura Blues. What do you guys think of that?
Well,
go ahead, Faded. You first.
Sakura Blues actually, very solid performance out of them against Trifecta. Trifecta struggling a lot this season so far, I noticed, but Sakura Blues, they got promoted last season, and they put a really good showing up in this matchup. I don't know if it was on stream or not. I think it was an off-stream game, but still, Sakura Blues showing that they're making waves in champs, honestly. So I hope to see more out of them because that's very nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think Sakura Blues is the favourite for that game. They do seem like a very strong team and definitely have potential to keep themselves into the top 4 spots. Next game we have Shazoo against Cypher Green, and the last one for this week, as Unlucky vs Godalians has yet to be played. Shazoo getting a 3-0 against Cypher Green again. Cypher Green really struggling in these first few weeks.
If you look at the seedings, Shazoo in first place in seedings with 1868 MMR. That's a pretty fair amount, and you see that here in the result against Cypher Green, a 3-0 sweep. So I think it's deserved, and we can see much more of Shazoo. Unlucky for them, they had to forfeit that one game, but for the rest, they just won the other 2 games. So pretty much excitement to see there from Shazoo.
Yeah, for sure. That's an expected result. Cypher Green we mentioned earlier, not really up to par against pretty much any of the other teams in the Champions Division. Shazoo just showing their class there. They didn't have to sweat too much about this match. They're the number 1 seed for a reason, after all. So, yeah, nothing more I can really say. Just Shazoo, big 3-0 win. They'll just take it like that.
Indeed, and finally we have the Champs Division. At last.
Yeah.
The Champs Division current league standings, with some of the Week 4 games being played. We will get into those, and hopefully next week if we have the time. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. Wind and Rain, unsurprisingly, first place. Sakura Blues being second. Unlucky getting third. And Shazoo up in fourth. Evicted tight behind in fifth. Stay Fresh getting sixth. Godalians and Brexit Bim Bams are on 1 point each. 7th and 8th respectively. Trifecta getting 9th. And Cypher Green in 10th. Does that seem like a accurate top 4, or do you think you yourself, Faded, can squeeze yourself up in there?
I think we could get up there. It would be a really tough task, because I think we got to play the likes of like Shazoo, Wind and Rain, and Godalians in the following weeks. So, if we can pick up wins against them somehow, then that'd be nice to get in the top. But it's gonna be tough for sure. But I think this top 4 at the moment, though, not what I would expect at first sight. Particularly Sakura Blues being in second. I'm just thinking, what on earth are they doing there? I would not think they would be up like so high in the standings. I would maybe think like Godalians or Stay Fresh should be up there at the moment. But it is what it is. Sakura Blue is doing really well for themselves so far, and Champs Div is looking to be, really tense because there's a lot of upsets so far in this division, and it just shows how crazy it can be really at this high level of play.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a Champions Division. It's not called for nothing. The Champions Division. All the players here are really good players, and I actually agree with you, Faye. Good Daniels. I expected to see them at least in the top 3, top 4 spot, but it's Sakura Blues who's holding the second spot now, the second place. So I think it's a pretty interesting one, but maybe Good Aliens, they only played 2 games so far, so that's pretty logical that they're pretty down bottom. But I think that Good Aliens, they have the players to get it into top 4, and of course for Trifecta, Cypher Green, they haven't won any single game. They really gotta start winning here, because it's been a pretty bad streak for them until now in this division, not what they wanted. And maybe we see Brexit Bim Bam getting into the playoff spot. As I said, they have to win pretty much all of their games. So we'll see how that ends up.
Alright, we just had a short break. We are now back. Before we get into this next bit, we won't be having an interview, but before you click off, I know you love an interview, but we will be going into a few topics to do with Rocket League itself. Some you might find interesting, but before, again, we will mention the AEZ, the Amateur Esports Zone. They have a lot, sorry. They have many different games that they go in here with. Rocket League branching back out too is what they will be doing. We will be helping them with that. The ECC Podcast, if you haven't come here from either the ECC Discord server, I'd recommend you go over to the Amateur Esports Zone, but they will also be posting this podcast on their forums as well, so that will be great. And if you are coming across from Amateur Esports Zone, we are the ECC and Faded. You want to take it away?
Yeah, we're the ECC, of course. We're a European-based league where we have 5 divisions of teams consisting of 10 each, so 50 teams in total. We have just recently gotten ourselves a big prize pool of like 200 odd euros in total. So, yeah, that is what's happening. We're having now money for people to compete for in this season. Of course, it's great fun. You get to come along, play some competitive matches, and potentially get streamed as well and casted, which not many lower level teams get the opportunity to do. But with the ECC, the way our scheduling works, you can potentially get yourselves on a stream, and makes it much more exciting for you guys. So if you do want to get in on the action to play Rocket League yourself, then of course be sure to join our Discord. Of course, the link will be in the description of the video probably. And of course, be sure to follow us on Twitter as well for updates in the league. And you can join in. Of course, we're currently in the middle of Season 5. Of course, you can maybe join in with a current team or wait until about February or March of next year and join in on Season 6 and get yourselves in and compete potentially.
Indeed, you can. It would be great to see everyone or more people in the server. But we will be moving on to quite an interesting topic. I think we'll start off with hitboxes before we get into my more favourite topic. What do you guys think is the best hitbox in Rocket League?
Well, personal preference, I think, comes down to hitboxes, but of course everyone knows hitboxes got standardized like a couple years ago. My
I'm quickly
personal
trying to grab
favorite-
those up myself.
Yeah, I'll do that actually, because I need to know what the hitbox types are. I can't really get them off the top of my head.
There is Plank, there is Hybrid, there is Octane, there is Breakout, and Dominus.
Alright, so those are the 5 types of hitboxes.
Boom.
Now, of course, again, it comes down to personal preference as to which one you like the most. Because the thing is, with the hitboxes, they're all like somewhat similar. There's actually not that big of a difference between many of the cars, but of course, there's small differences that make them better at certain things. For example, the Dominus hitbox, people could say, you can get better bangers maybe, or more powerful flicks with them. Whereas maybe the Octane hitbox is a bit more well-rounded and a lot more consistent in that way. For me, of course, my favorite I think is the Octane hitbox. Of course, that may be biased because I've been using the Octane, maining it for like the past couple years now, and I've just gotten so used to it, and it feels weird to like use any other car really. But for me, the Octane is just more well-rounded. You can do pretty much anything with it you like, and it's why it's so popular. Because the Octane is the first car you get in the game actually. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I think the Octane's just my favorite and probably one of the best types of hitboxes.
Yeah, I mean, the Octane's got the height, it's got all that, but you gotta also consider by pure scenario. I mean, I've got some of the measurements here. I'm not sure what the units are. I think it is just I couldn't tell you, but the Octane has the shortest length, I think 3rd highest width, and the tallest of the hitboxes. Funnily enough, the Breakout is the longest hitbox, and the width of that is the least. But for me, it is between the 3 main cars, Octane, Dominus, and Breakout. I don't really play with Hybrid. I know people who do, and they perform quite well on it. One of my teammates happened to play with Hybrid. Plank is very rare to see. I know you yourself, Dennis, play Plank / Batmobile. There is a slight difference between those. I'm not sure. I believe that's to do with turning radius, but that's even further. That's delving even further, into the hitboxes themselves. That's more the cars. But yeah, for me, I'm slowly making my way back into Dominus. I do love the length of the car. You just can, if you don't feel like you have the capability to get to the car, the ball, quick enough, you have the length of the Dominus, you have the length of the Breakout, you can challenge just that extra bit sooner. Although when it comes to a 50-50, you will have to jump with it. In the case of an Octane, you might necessarily not have to because you have that height. But yeah, for me, I'd say as an overall, when you're in the air, Dominus, going for flicks, Breakouts, or Dominus, an Octane is the well-rounded car. You can't deny that. Yeah, I'd personally go for Dominus.
Alright. So of course you have the Octane hitbox, a pretty all-rounded one. And as you just said, Dominus hitbox is a bit longer. As you already mentioned, I personally play with the Batmobile, which is a plank hitbox. I've been playing with it since like 2016 when it came out. So I've played with the Fennec for a bit, but I find myself still just playing with plank hitbox, which is a Batmobile. I think it fits better with me, also just because I've been playing with it for like 3 years. So I'm going with a plank hitbox. That's my preference. But of course, it's for everyone's preference, which hitbox you want to use, which hitbox you like.
Of course.
So it's just all own preference. And we all three have different preferences, I think, in hitboxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty interesting to see that one.
I think we'll try and get a poll going. I don't know whether that'll be on this podcast itself, or we'll try and get one in the ECC server, as to who people think, or what people think is the best hitbox. Do we want to try and set that up now and leave it going for a bit? And
We could actually do that.
Yeah, sure.
I'll have a quick message in mod chat and see if Timmy's up for it. But if you wanna, if there's anything else you want to discuss about hitboxes, go ahead.
I don't think there's much else really. It's just like, again, it's down to personal preference. I feel like with hitboxes, and I feel like this poll could maybe show what people prefer personally. But yeah, it's difficult to say what the best one is. There's not really a best one. There's not a best car because, even if you look at the professional level, there's a variety of cars being used. Like the most popular choices are the more like Dominus or Octane or Fennec. Maybe see a Batmobile here and there, maybe a Breakout every once in a while. So really, I mean, there is of course the more popular ones like the Octane, Plank, and the Dominus hitbox get the most exposure. So of course people think, oh, they're the best because they're used the most. But again, it's what you prefer at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in ECC also on stream, you sometimes see a various amount of cars. You don't see just the Octane, you see different cars. And as I already said, myself just use the Batmobile. But yeah, you see every type of car really. The Breakout, the Dominus, the Hybrid hitbox. Everything you can play with. And you prefer to play with that hitbox, you can try. And as I already said, I've used Octane and Fennec myself, and I find myself just not playing really good with it. It's not really my style of playing, so I'll go with a plank hitbox. But of course, you can vote in the poll about what hitbox you like to use.
Yeah.
I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main question is what. I know I said mentioning the length of the Breakout is probably its only upside. But do you want to try and go through what each hitbox has to offer? Maybe
Yeah,
in
do
terms
that,
in terms of I know I mentioned Octane has the height, but what does for example the Hybrid hitbox have to offer?
Yeah, the hybrid hitbox, so that's cars such as the Nimbus, Endo, the Jaeger as well. So, the hybrid ones, there's kind of maybe a mix between, a bit of a mixed one between Breakout, Dominus, Octane, and Plank, very much like all the other ones combined. Because still with the likes of the Endo and the Nimbus, it's still flat. It's got a bit of the length to it, and of course it's a bit more of a not as wide car as the other ones. So yeah, it's just a mix of all the other ones really. So yeah, you can really with a hybrid, it's just if you want to get a bit of all of them really, a bit of that height, bit of the length as well, then that's the car to go with. Because it's just a nice mix really, and there's not really one thing that a hybrid would offer in particular that is much stronger than the others. It's just kind of, it's you could say it's good at everything in a way. I mean, at least that's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just the own preference, and the hybrid cars, they just have everything. I would think it's a bit mixed up, as you said. If you look at the length, width, and height of the hitbox, it's pretty all-rounded if you compare it to the other hitboxes. So hybrid, if you're just a casual player, just you dribble, you flick, and you do like everything. You just shoot from distance. I think hybrid is what you what you want to have, a car of the hybrid hitbox. But yeah, I don't really see it often being used though. More like the Octane or the maybe the Dominus or the Plank hitbox, but I don't really see the hybrid hitbox being used.
Yeah. I've just put the poll up. I will be leaving it for a bit. I think now it's only fair that we go on to our final and probably most controversial topic. How do you guys feel about mechanics and game sense? Which is more important and which can benefit you more in a game? I know, Faded, you're a higher tier player. I'm one of the more lower tiers. I do play twos more. But how about Dennis? How do you feel this is on this topic?
Well, of course, and if you look like at the most highest level RLCS, you see just people who are really mechanical, really good, and people who are just in a mind that they're really good. They can just think really well. They just predict everything that's gonna happen. I think you can say that a Fairy Peak is really really mindset. He's pretty good in just predicting everything. And then the Shush said he's pretty mechanical good. Squishy, of course, he's really well in mechanical. But overall, I think a mixed up is really important in this case. I mean, you can't just have one of those two just completely and the other one just falling apart. But just a mix of mechanical and thinking where the ball is going to go is really important in Rocket League. And if I'm honest, I think that the mechanical part of Rocket League is a bit more important. Getting the shots in, being a bit more accurate is the most important, I think, in Rocket League. But nonetheless, as I said, thinking, predicting is not. You can't just forget that, and you also really need to have that if you want to be a high tier player.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, for you yourself, which do you prioritize, Dennis? Do you try and improve your mechanics day by day, or do you try and just focus on what's happening in the game, how you can use it to your advantage, and where you can maybe place your shots and passes?
I think the last one. I'm not really a player, but I think that just the predicting the reads and the everything in there, I think that's more on my side and not really the mechanical aspect. If I'm honest, I should improve on that in the mechanical side, but it's myself. I'm more a thinking player instead of a mechanical player, I would say.
That's fair enough. For you, Faded, you are a higher tier player compared to us peasants having GC multiple seasons. You can give us the best rundown of this, really.
Yeah, the thing is with mechanics and game sense, right, is that they both rely on each other, in my opinion, because the thing is, as Dennis mentioned earlier, if you're a top level player, you can't have just mechanics, and at the same time, you can't have just game sense. You need to have both. Of course, every player, most players will have, strength of both. Like you mentioned, players like, for example, Justin, Squishy, Chaussette, as you mentioned in RLCS, they're more on the mechanical side of things, and so they're made to push up more on the offense. They tend to be, the ones either trying to set up plays, typically using the mechanics, or the ones actually getting the shots in and making those solo plays. Whereas, you think of more smarter players, like, Fairy Peak, for example. He has the mechanics, yes, but he is also a setup master, he's also called. He tries to read the play and think, okay, where can I get this ball into the best position for my teammates? It's really what you need. You need a mix of both, but of course, in sort of low GC and even going into like the high levels of GC, of course, some players they maybe have really strong mechanics, and that's why they're so high, but their game sense isn't as good, and so oftentimes, even if they're up against a player with weaker mechanics, if they can use their superior game sense and just outsmart them and outplay them, and recognize patterns in the opponent's playstyle, then they could potentially beat them. Because mechanics isn't the only way to win, but at the same time you need decent mechanics to get up there. But as for me personally, I see myself as a bit more mechanically focused than game sense focused. even though I've not got flashy mechanics, I have very strong fundamental mechanics. So I try to use those to the best of my ability, and I'm often seen as the kind of striker of my own team anyway.
That's a good
But
point.
the thing is, you need to have. I think I need to improve my game sense a lot because I see myself, sometimes not passing enough, for example, or like diving in as third man, maybe, or just not being patient enough, maybe, not taking, not making the best use of opportunities, if that makes sense. But that's my opinion on it. I think, most players they'll have a preference, but you need to have a mix of both because both mechanics and game sense rely heavily on each other, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely they do. I mean, coming from a freestyling background, when I first started the game, I was all about trying to get the flashy plays in, trying to show off and perform like what people seemed to think was impossible. And I'm slowly working my way through back into the game sense, which is quite great, seeing as I have the comfortable capabilities as air dribbles and other high tier mechanics, you'd say, but oh no, sorry, basic mechanics, you'd say, but in more of a high tier and unfortunately for me, an unnecessary level of learning them. But yeah, I'm slowly working in through the game sense and incorporating it. Like you mentioned, it is important to have both, and I think you can lead one into the other. Like in picturing yourself, like right now, on the side wall going up for an air dribble, you see your teammates in the midfield, and you see two defenders, one on the backboard and one in net. You have the time, you have the game sense to decide where this ball is going to go, where you're going to put it, and you have the mechanics to place it and give your teammates the opportunity to get a goal. Whereas you may want to do so yourself, knowing you have the mechanics, but in that situation, it's probably more ideal to play a pass because it's harder to read where that ball is going to end up after the pass to give the final shot. But yeah, it is a definite tough situation. Like you mentioned, you can't have one without the other. But for me, I've kind of gone as far as I want to with mechanics. I still want to keep going further, slowly learning the ground play mechanics now. But I think game sense is my top priority.
Yeah, I would say the same for myself actually. I already mentioned it. I need better game sense because people say, "Oh, Fade's a brain dead ball chaser." They're not wrong because all I do is chase the ball. But I think you need a bit of that, the smarter plays in you, because oftentimes you may see yourself, you have the ball and you're looking to go for a shot, but you maybe have that teammate just right next to you in midfield. So you think, just pass it over to him and it's a much easier chance for him. So you need to just recognize, when you have those chances, again, as I said, Cursed, you have the game sense to see these chances that you can make and see, right, well, these are my options, what am I going to take? And then once you decide what you want to do, making use of the mechanics that you have to actually make that play happen and end up getting the goal. Because, you can't just use your mechanics to be really selfish and be the one taking, making all the goals. You got to make those passes because that's the only way you're going to win as a team, especially in the top level.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, like, going back to that, you have, like you're saying, these high mechanics, and you may have good enough mechanics to take it all the way to the goal, but then your problem is you may have the mechanics in that scenario to get it around the defender. You have however many defenders there are. They're more than likely going to be able to read what you're going to do, as they have game sense that maybe brought them there, or they have the mechanics to know where you're going to place it, recognize how it's going to come, and then counter it. So both in any scenario can help in defense, and I think that's what the second part could be about, which is important in terms of defense. Obviously, game sense has a really high priority here, because recognizing where the pass is going to go, recognizing how it's going to be played is extremely important. But if you have the mechanics to counteract, like maybe you've been practicing your flicks to a whole nother level where you can just yeet it up the field to your teammate who's ready to score it, or you're on the backboard and it's sent to you, you know exactly where you need to place your card to get this air dribble or this boom out upfield. And again, we were mentioning how they're incorporated. you need the game sense in that scenario to decide where you're going to place it, how you're going to position your car, and who you're playing it to. So, Dennis, how do you think, which do you think, sorry, is more important in defense?
Well, I think just not the big clears are just is not what you need in defense. It just gives away possession. You know, it's what much pro players say as well in defense. If you just bang the ball away, it's more giving possession away to the opposition. But of course, if you can find your teammate in there, and if you played really well with each other, you know, it's a good strategy, of course. But I think just being patient in defense, not panicking, and just trying to maybe get up to the ball, trying to dribble it to your teammate, and not losing possession is a better way of just getting out of your defense with just not banging the ball to the other side of the field, but just patiently getting the ball to your teammates out of defense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Faded, I know you mentioned how you feel they link between each other. I mean, focusing on a single place on the field now, we're going in defense. Where do you think, or what do you think lies in importance for that there?
I feel like game sense is more important in defense than mechanics, because like the thing is with your mechanics, as long as they're as long as you got the speed to get to it, as long as you can get that touch out that you need to get, then it's completely fine. I think most players around Champ 2, Champ 3 nowadays can make the backboard clears, can make any type of clear, can really they know have mechanics to do pretty much anything they want in defense to get it out. But it comes down to how you actually go about it, and that's where your game sense kicks in. Because as Dennis mentioned, you can't just bang the ball away all the time into opposing end, because then you're just giving away possession in that case, unless you find a teammate. But a lot of people just bang it out, and then the opponents get it, and then they get under attack again. But you need to know, what am I going to do with the ball? So let's say, I don't know, a shot comes your way, and it's like not that powerful, right? If someone shoots it from the midway line, you're thinking, okay, well, there's different options. I could just bang it back at them, for example, which is not ideal. You can maybe take it for a dribble up the field and, try maybe take on an attacking player. You could get the hit out to a teammate and let him take it out. And, maybe you could get a direct pass into a teammate that's right next to you if you're low on boost, just pass it to him and let him boom it down the field. So instead of you getting a clear that's maybe not as powerful, he can get it and just slam it away and give your teammates time to get some more boost and get ready and potentially make an attack of your own. So I think game sense is a lot more important than mechanics in terms of the defense, because really in defense is not a lot of times, yes, it comes down to can you save the ball, but once you make that save, you get control. It's how you actually transition out and get an attack of your own, in my opinion.
Yeah, indeed. I've just had a quick think of myself. We've been talking about the importance of hitboxes, which is the best, and the mechanics over game sense, but one that can tie all of this together is which is more important between car control and ball control?
Ooh.
That is an interesting point, because again, this is one of the things where they link in with each other. Again, just like how mechanics and game sense, they have a strong reliance on each other. Ball control and car control.
Do we want to quickly explain what each are in case people are quite
basically
unaware?
Car control is just like your movement of the car itself. You want to have the most efficient movement possible, so you can make the touches you want and rotate correctly, and you'll be in position for any touch and just be ready for that. And it's something that you need to improve on a lot. Comparing the car control between a bronze player and a JC player is like night and day. It's like a bronze player, it just seems like they don't really know what they're doing. Whereas a JC player, they know exactly where to be. They have good control over where they're going and know what they're supposed to be doing, and they can get the touches they want. Whereas lower level players, maybe they try to make a certain touch because their car control isn't that great, ends up being completely different from what they originally intended. Whereas ball control is actually, when you have the ball, how do you control it? It's like shot placement as well. From like where do you want to place it? Do you want to put it right down the middle? Do you want to put it into one of the top corners? Stuff like that. It's also when you're dribbling, for example, being able to keep that ball under control. Is when you're air dribbling maybe, or making an aerial play like that. Just being able to get the touch you want on that ball, send it where you want to send it, get the power on it that you want. That's the big difference between the two, and they rely a lot on each other because, without good car control, for example, if you're going for an irritable, if you don't have good car control, how are you supposed to control the ball well as well, You need both of them in that scenario. When you're dribbling, if you can't keep the ball on top of your car when you're dribbling, then how are you going to do anything with the ball itself to make a play? If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, indeed. I think the question here now for you, Dennis, first off, is first off we'll say, which do you think you have better of, car control or ball control, and then, of course, which would you like to improve more with?
I think myself is pretty much more a car control player. I think I'm really just with this rotating where I have to be with the car.
I mean, you'll have to be a car control player if you choose the Batmobile. Jesus.
Well, yeah, just rotating good. Also, just easy things like hall flips. They're just things that I'm having pretty much under control. With ball control, though, I want to improve more on that because I think it's pretty good to be trained. Also, just in custom trainings, putting the shots in, putting those custom trainings in, and getting better at it. I think it's pretty important for like much players who have troubles with ball control, not being able to be accurate with the ball, getting the shots in, and just missing too much of those. I think it's really important to improve on that one as well. So yeah, as Faded already said, it's really important to have a mix of both because they're relying on each other. Without car control, you also can't have good ball control, and opposite side as well. Without ball control, you can't have good car control. So basically, I have more car control, and I want to improve on my ball control. And I think it's really important if you have much ball control as well for just high tier playing. You gotta be able to get the ceiling shots in, to get a flip resets in, and confuse the defense of the opposite side.
Yeah, indeed. How about you, Faded?
I think both are really good for me, but maybe just about as equally as good. But I think car control is quite a bit better. Perhaps I feel like I can have good movement around the field. If I have really good speed, for example, can make the challenges happen, and just be able to get the ball down the field really. But I feel like my ball control is a bit lacking. Oftentimes, for example, my flicks I feel like could be a lot better. They sometimes just go to absolutely nowhere. Maybe I want to flick it right into the goal, but then it goes straight into the ceiling or something. And for shot placement as well, I find myself, taking a lot of shots in the game, but not actually getting the quality on them that I need. They just are easily saved, and I feel like I can maybe do more to get a better shot, place it a lot better, and also for aerial ball control, sometimes I feel like I'm losing the ball sometimes, and just not having the ball under good control so that I can actually do what I want with it. Maybe do a flip reset, maybe for example, or to just get a pass into a teammate, stuff like that. But I feel like car control is a bit better for me, but ball control could certainly do with quite a bit of work.
Yeah, I mean, if you try and pin them down to what their main focuses are, ball control definitely has a bigger influence on your mechanical skill, in my opinion. Because without mechanics, you wouldn't be able to control the ball as efficiently. And so for me, I'd say I have a bit more ball control over my car control, and seeing as I need to improve the game sense, it more kind of coheres with the car control. So the fact that I need to focus on the rotations, the decision making, and as to where to place myself in position and in corresponding to the opponents and the ball, I think my car control is definitely where I need to focus on my improvement. I'll be having a read of some of the comments, so if you want to put your opinions on all three topics we have discussed, that being hitbox, mechanics or game sense, and car control versus ball control, I'll have a quick read and see how you all feel. But we're going to try and wrap this up slowly. We have been going for almost 2 hours now. I did say, like I mentioned, I put a poll in. 19 people would say the Octane hitbox, 7 are around the Dominus. I think if we gave this a bit more time, maybe the votes would be a bit more accurate. But yeah, we have 3 for the breakout, 3 for the hybrid, and 3 also for the plank. But I'd like to bring up a little thing of Lion, who never ceases to amaze us, obviously goes for the Scarab hitbox, for whatever reason that may be.
For God's sake.
That is the Octane hitbox, but clearly the Scarab should deserve its own hitbox, is what we're trying to say here.
Yes. Yes.
Because you know, I think the Octane is actually a car, whereas the Scarab's just a ball with wheels attached to it.
The Scarab is the ball, that's the thing.
Yeah, it just becomes the ball. If I see a Scarab player, I don't go for the actual ball, I just go for the Scarab.
Yeah, I kind of mix up between the two. Sometimes I end up air dribbling the Scarab player into their net. And then I get surprised by why there's no goal explosion, and then I realise it's too late. I've just conceded.
Yeah, that is fair enough, honestly.
But yeah, all jokes aside, we are going to be wrapping this up now. Thank you everyone who has stayed tuned for this roughly 2-hour podcast. We have been the ECC. I have been KursedWolf, joined today by Faded and Dennis.
Yeah.
We will see you all soon.
Yep, see you guys.
Goodbye.